Ice Age room. And one of the things that I've been told anyway is that evolution has a hard time coming up with a recipe or a scenario that would cause an actual ice age. Yet the biblical flood is the perfect recipe for an ice age, because you've got the fountains of the deep coming from way down in the ground. They would be maybe 10 to 30 miles deep and be extremely hot. And that would be added to the seas that would have already been up there on the surface. And then you also have thousands of volcanoes going off underneath the ocean and on land and everywhere. So that would be, again, adding heat, because they're like somewhere around 2,000 degrees, the lava. So that would cause it to be hotter. Then you also have those volcanoes would have been spewing ash into the atmosphere, which blocks the rays of the sun, and that would have caused the land masses to cool off because it was blocking the sun and the warmth of the sun. So if you got warm oceans, which would mean there would be a lot of, evaporation of the oceans because they were really warm. And then the wind blows it across mountains that are now 30,000 or 29,000 feet high, as well as the sun is blocked. And so massive amounts of snow and ice would be falling, causing an ice age. Now, another thing that to me is interesting is, we've got it here in Job chapter 38. It talks about where did the ice come from? That we've got. What caused the seas to become like stone? And so the Bible actually does talk about, in the book of Job, the effects of an ice age. And everything I've been told about Job is that he was one of the people that lived shortly after the flood. And if we go over here, we've got a chart of the ages, and I believe Job lived approximately 175 years. And you will notice anyone born before the flood, probably because the conditions were different and much better for life, lived about 900 years. Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Shem at least lived about 600 years. The next generation about 400, or 2 or 3 generations even, and then it starts dropping down. And so it's very possible that Job would have lived in about one of these generations here. Another interesting fact, according to this, is Abraham lived to be 175, and he would have died before Shem. And that's just kind of hard to believe. So in other words, another thing that we can glean from this is you've got Adam living clear over to here, and then you get Noah's dad. I mean, it was like secondhand information coming straight from Adam. And then he could have passed that on to his sons that got us clear past the flood. Now, another interesting thing that fits in with the biblical account is we look at Neanderthal men. And these are all these faces are made from the same skull. You can raise these up and see the skull's the same, but they make them different. Notice the difference from like this one or this one over here, and then you get, put a suit on him and he's already got a shave and, he'd be one of us. In fact, they say that there's I'm not saying a majority, but there's a fair percentage of people today that they can trace back to the DNA of Neanderthal man. And the other thing, one of the things that's different is the brow bone is extended here. And there's two possibilities for that. But the longer we live, the more that grows out. So if Neanderthal man was one that lived up in here, that lived 200 to 400 years, that would be a reason for that to grow out that far.